Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. My name is Kristen, and I am one of the account managers here. Overview. And then Joe will demonstrate how easy it is to get started with both TracerPlus and TracerPlus Connect. As we move through the webinar, please type questions and comments into the question panel provided, and we'll be sure to answer some of those after Joe's presentation. So Portable Technology Solutions is the name of our company, and we are the developers of both TracerPlus and ClearStream RFID software. We're a modest-sized company with offices in both New York and New Jersey. And while our humble beginnings began with a product called Tracer, developed for Palm devices, we have successfully scaled that product to what is now known as TracerPlus, which includes compatibility with Windows Mobile, Android, and iOS devices. So incorporating not only barcode scanning features, but RFID and NFC technology as well. But it's our partnerships with hundreds of integrators and end users worldwide that configure all kinds of TracerPlus and ClearStream apps every day that we're most proud of. Although this webinar is not about ClearStream, I did want to make you aware of product. Much like TracerPlus, ClearStream is a user configurable RFID software that runs on fixed RFID readers. Our customers often use it in conjunction with TracerPlus, and much like TracerPlus, you can set it up on your own or use our services to set it up for you. You can control conveyor operations, track materials at all stages of production, as well as control lights and alarms and other GPIO devices. In our next release, we'll also be including email reporting and alerts as well. If you're interested in learning more about fixed RFID solutions, you can visit our clearstreamrfid.com website. We also host similar webinars to this with regards just to ClearStream, and you can find a registration link on our website as well. Okay, so each year we help thousands of businesses of all types save money by converting their paper forms and manual data collection methods into mobile asset tracking, inventory, route accounting, event tracking, and even delivery applications. Just to name a few, TracerPlus is out there tracking chickens and pigs, performing hundreds of inspections, and records countless number of assets worldwide. It's affordable to deploy and quick to scale. You'll never get stuck with an antiquated system. As your business evolves, as the technology evolves, so can your TracerPlus apps. Baby steps and small budgets are not a problem. You can start off using simple TracerPlus apps on existing cell phones and tablets, and then over time grow it into a more robust enterprise class solution. I find it fascinating that when we start comparing older presentations with the newer ones we use today, I can see that TracerPlus at its core remains timeless, yet it's always adapting to the latest technology out there, like RFID, NFC, and even beacon technology now as well. So this slide never gets old. So whether you're using pen and paper to collect data or nothing at all, I think we can all agree the reason you're here today is to find a better way, a way that will enable your organization to remain in control of your data and provide an easy-to-use system that won't break the bank. We believe TracerPlus is such a system, and we're excited to share it with you today. So these next few slides highlight a few of our customers who did find a better way. You can find these, other testimonials, and case studies on our website as well. So Arundel is a CNC manufacturer that used to manually track their gauges and handwrite inspection forms that they would store in binders. They would spend hours looking through these binders and bad handwriting only to eventually find wrong information about the gauge. This would slow down their process and increase losses to their bottom line. With TracerPlus, they were able to create an inspection app that ensured complete and accurate data entry, and were able to lose all of those binders and bad penmanship. Now, by simply scanning a barcode, they can instantly look up vital information with 100% accuracy which increased their production time, that impressed their customers, which led to more business, resulting in increased revenue. MCI Tile is a pretty amazing story. They manufacture approximately 18,000 different types of tiles and track over 50,000 pallets of product, all within an 8-acre facility in California. I hope you can see this picture clearly. It's definitely worth 1,000 words. So they used to manually, with pen and paper, inventory all those pallets that you see there. Each audit would take them 3 days with 8 employees. Now, with a TracerPlus RFID mobile app, it only takes one person 4 hours to complete an inventory. So let me say that again. That was 3 days with 8 employees, now down to 4 hours with 1 employee. We have a really cool video on our website at TracerPlus.com where they talk about and even demonstrate how they do it. Bike lane is pretty cool too. Herb is the owner of an 8,000 square foot bike shop in Texas. He downloaded TracerPlus one day and configured an RFID app himself. They were literally spending up to a half an hour trying to find a particular bike they had sold. Back in the back room, you could see there. Looking for merchandise took the salespeople off the floor. And for those of you in retail, you know that that's valuable time that they could have spent selling needed add-on items. But by the time they got back, the customer was eager to check out and leave the store. So now with a TracerPlus RFID application, they can find anything they need within seconds, saving them valuable time to spend with customers and increase their sales. So how did they do it? Well, some chose to utilize our resources and create the apps themselves. We like to refer to them as the MacGyver types, who have the time and the resources to learn and develop their TracerPlus skills. While others may not have had the time and resources, chose to use our services to create the apps for them. Either way, the results allowed them to take control and streamline their data collection process, saving them hundreds of thousands of dollars while joining a growing community of TracerPlus users worldwide. So let's say you don't have the time or the resources to create your own TracerPlus app. Here at PTS, we keep the process pretty simple. You'll start by working side by side with one of our account managers who can quickly determine if TracerPlus is right for you and provide additional information and pricing as well. So once you've made the commitment to move forward, you're then paired with one of our solution architects who will finalize your scope of work and begin creating your own custom application. They will schedule time to deliver and train you and others in your organization if needed on the application. From there, you're on your own to test the application out in the field. We can revisit and revise, and so long as it's within the scope of work, there would be no additional charges. And typically within 3 to 4 weeks, you'll have a working application. And what's really cool about it is we don't lock down the app. So at any time, you can use our TracerPlus desktop tool to make modifications, even create additional apps on your own at no charge. And the process is pretty seamless. Now, we also have tons of customers. Like I said, we like to call these the MacGyver types that are able to put in the time to learn TracerPlus. And at PTS, we work really hard at providing resources that enable our users to do it themselves. And I'll share these resources with you as we get a little further along. Okay, so let's say you decide to do it yourself. The first step you're going to want to do is grab a sheet of paper or use a Word doc to jot down some information about the app you want to create. For example, what fields of data do you need to collect? Much like a paper form, you may want to know who's completing the form and the day and time in which the form was completed. From there, you may want the user to scan a barcode and enter a quantity. Now, that's a basic app, and TracerPlus is capable of way more. But for today, we'll stick with this example. I tried to get as many samples on this slide to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So now ask yourself, what kind of experience do you want the user to have when using the application? Do you want them to not have to think and let the form guide them? Or do you want the user to have control over the data field? Basically, how is the app going to flow? So in our example, you may want the user to log in with a password, or you may not require a password and simply let them enter the app with the click of an icon. You may want them to increment scanned quantities as they pull the trigger instead of manually entering quantities after a cycle count. Perhaps you want them to have the ability to choose. Okay, so now that you get the idea of what you need in an application, the next step is to download and install both our TracerPlus Desktop and TracerPlus Connect software. Joe will be demonstrating how to do this in just a bit. So TracerPlus Desktop is the software that's installed on your PC or laptop and is used to actually create the application, while TracerPlus Connect is the software used to seamlessly sync the data you collected on the device back to your existing database or Excel sheet. And vice versa, you can sync data from your device back to the database and the Excel sheet. So this is really helpful when you need information on the scanner. So here we've listed some of our online resources we talk about all the time, such as our user guides available in PDF format and our knowledge base articles that are easy to search with keywords, which reveal helpful answers and oftentimes step-by-step instructions. All of these resources can be accessed from our website and are provided to you with quick links in an email you'll receive right after you download the trial. We encourage everyone to work with one of our account managers. We're here to help you navigate these free resources, and if we can't find the answer, we'll be sure to get the answer and the help that you need. If you don't know who your account manager is, simply email our sales department at sales@tracerplus.com and one will be assigned to you. Our YouTube videos are probably our most utilized resource. Some of our videos have thousands of views. The search box, which I tried to highlight here with a circle in the screenshot, is very helpful. For example, if you need to learn more about grid controls or lookups, simply use the search box and videos on the subject will populate. And our playlist catalogs our webinars by subject, which is really helpful when trying to find something quick. And of course, I can't leave this slide without asking you to like a video you liked and subscribing to our channel. Our open office hours are a great way to get classroom type training twice a week. You'll simply log on to one of our scheduled go-to meetings, raise your hand and ask a question. One of our engineers will be on hand to answer questions and guide you to available resources specific to your needs. We also occasionally have users sign in just to listen to other folks. You'll be surprised at how much you can learn from other people's questions. Our community forums also open the doors and allow you to engage with other TracerPlus users and learn how others are utilizing the software. And our pre-sale support can be set up by your account manager. It's typically set up in 2-week intervals, so when you're ready to get started, make sure you reach out to your account manager. And if you're short on time, you just may find the perfect app already built in our online library of sample apps. These are applications that can be used as is or modified to meet your exact needs. It's a great way to get started. Oh, and it's also important to note that when installing TracerPlus to your Android devices via the Google Play Store, you'll be all set with 4 sample applications. And finally, let's say you're moving right along, creating your TracerPlus app, and all of a sudden you get stuck. You just can't figure out how to do something. Well, we have a solution for that. We call it Fast Track Training. You can purchase 2-hour, 4-hour, or 8-hour blocks of time and work side by side with one of our skilled TracerPlus solution architects. We can even provide a recording you can refer back to later. So whether you're creating the app yourself or we created it for you, you'll want to protect your investment. Our support plans are a great way to do that. Not only will you have access to our support team here in the US, but licensed security should anything happen to your device. Upgrades are also included and a must for any deployment that needs security when operating systems are upgraded across all devices, PCs, and even laptops. Working with our account managers and our pre-sales support team is a great way to experience how this whole support system works. So schedule some time to talk with one of our account managers. We'll review your project, talk about the resources you have available, and help you develop those next steps. We also have a network of partners nationwide, actually worldwide, who can provide complete solutions for our customers. So please call or email us and let us know how we can help. And with that, it's now time to watch Joe as he demonstrates how easy it is to get started with TracerPlus.
Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome. I will turn the controls over to you.
All right, well, welcome everyone to today's webinar. Thanks for taking the time out to sit in with us to learn a little bit more about our software and our product offering. What I want to show you today is how to actually download the TracerPlus software, how to install it, and get up and going quickly. So if you go to the TracerPlus.com website, you'll see that up along the top here, we have a Try It Free button. So if you click that, you'll be able to fill in a form here with your information. I'll just put in my information here real quickly. If you could enter as much information as possible, that will help us. But I'm going to keep it short today. We'll just do my email. Actually, it auto-filled for me. We'll say webinar and test. So once you fill this out, go ahead and click this download button. First, we need to confirm our policy here. Hit download. It's going to download locally to our PC. Depending on the browser that you're using, you may see it either below or in your downloads folder or wherever you may have chosen to actually save that. Once you do download, you'll see a little thank you here that has links to different resources that may help you get up and going. So we have some self-help resources available to you, as well as fast-track training, as Kristen was mentioning earlier, or we can create the app for you. So now that we've downloaded it, I'm just going to click on the executable down here to install it. And it typically installs pretty quickly. And once this finishes up, we'll go ahead and launch the software. All right, so here is our TracerPlus software. This is the desktop software, which is a free download. This is the software that you're actually going to utilize to build your forms and deploy to your different devices. So currently we support Android, iOS, and Windows Mobile CE devices. So what you can do here is actually, if you wanted to get started quickly, just to show you how to deploy, I'm just going to grab a sample from our website. I'm not going to really go into depth in using it, but just show you how to actually get this over to a device. So let's go to asset tracking. That's a pretty popular solution for us. And let's say we wanted to do tool and equipment tracking. So we click on that. Gives you a brief summary of the app, some screenshots. We hit next, and then import. We'll click finish. And now we'll have this application within the desktop software. So you'll see we have what we call sessions, which are forms with data tables behind them. And each individual project can support up to 32 different sessions. So you can run multiple applications from a single device. So you'll see we have an equipment list, a check-in, and a check-out. So we have a form designer. This is how we design what it's going to look like on the device. And then the field settings, you're going to configure with certain properties to perform specific tasks, whether you're scanning barcodes, keying in text, or you want to select from a drop-down or a checkbox, as well as signature and image capture. But I'm not going to go into too depth there. You can catch that on one of our upcoming webinars where we'll get a little bit more detailed into the actual desktop configuration. So now that we have this project, let's see how we can actually deploy this to the device. So one thing to mention before we can actually deploy is that we need to also install TracerPlus to our handheld device, whether that be Windows, Android, or iOS. I'm going to show you both the Windows and Android device today that I have connected. So first, if we start with Windows, I'm going to slide this over so you can see my device. So this is a Windows Embedded Handheld 6.5 device. So you'll see that in the lower left corner, it's stating that TracerPlus is not installed. So what we can do is go to Tools, Install TracerPlus to Device, and then Windows Mobile. That will be true for both Windows Mobile and CE type devices. So then we'll just follow the prompts. And this will install TracerPlus to my handheld here. And I also want to mention for Windows-based devices, you have to make sure that you have either Microsoft ActiveSync or the Windows Mobile Device Center installed prior to connecting your device, as that is required for this type of connection. This will install it to my handheld, and once we finish, we should be prompted with a splash screen. So it's going to ask us whether we want to try it or register. If you're just trialing this software and you haven't purchased yet, you could simply hit try it. And then you're brought to a basic 10-field session where you can do some data entry. But what we can actually do now is deploy our project. So one thing to note with Windows, if you've just installed TracerPlus to the device, it's not going to refresh this connectivity status. So you can either disconnect and reconnect the device, or I always find it easier to just close desktop and then reopen it. And then we'll actually see our project listed here in the recent projects. Now we can simply click Build Deploy. Notice that our connected to client says New Device 8. And I can choose which platform I actually want to deploy to. So I'll choose Windows Mobile. I'll bring my device back into view and then click Deploy. So what that's going to do is close TracerPlus on our handheld, deploy the project, and then relaunch TracerPlus. So there's our sample project that we just imported. So now we've easily deployed it to our Windows device. So the next thing we want to do is now deploy this to an Android-based device. So I also have an Android device remotely controlled from my PC, which I'll tell you a little bit about these tools later in the webinar. So I have a device here that I want to install TracerPlus to. So once again, if we go to Tools, Install TracerPlus, and then Android, we can click here for instructions on how to install to Android. So there's a few different methods for this. The recommended method, if you have a device that supports or has the Google Play Store, we would recommend going to the Play Store, searching for TracerPlus, and installing it that way, as it's pretty seamless and simple. So we'll see that on my device, I do have that option. However, the Play Store is not configured. Plus, I want to show the other method for those of you that don't have Play Store on the device. This can be if you're using maybe a Zebra device that doesn't have the Google mobile services enabled, you would have to do it this other way. So you could essentially scan a QR code if the device had a QR code scanner on it, or you could simply download the APK file, which is an Android installer, and then copy it to your device. Now you can actually download this locally to your PC and copy it, or you can actually browse the website on the device itself and download it from there. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll open up a web browser on the actual device, and we will put in our website. And we actually have a neat feature too here. If you happen to be browsing our website and you do have access to the Play Store, it'll even prompt you to install it. But since I don't, I'm just going to go to the, get out of this pop-up here. And we'll go to the downloads page actually. We'll click the software menu and then downloads. Then we will scroll down to the deploy to iOS, Android, and Windows Mobile section. This will list the same methods that we had on this page. And we'll click here to download this file. Once again, it'll prompt us to fill out some information. So I'll go ahead and fill in. And we will just check our privacy policy and download. We'll click OK to keep. So there's our download. Now I can simply click this open option here. This will install the TracerPlus client to the Android device. And we'll simply open it. And we're prompted with that same try it and register screen. So if we click try it, the difference with Android is that we actually give you different sample applications that you can actually use right out of the box. So we have some inventory control, extinguisher inspections, delivery, and asset tracking that you can use to demo the application without even deploying from desktop at this point. So if we did want to deploy this project that we just actually downloaded, we can do so once again by clicking Build Deploy, select our platform as Android, and we notice that Android has a lot more options for deployment. So I'll go through them in order here. Our deploy server, this will actually generate a QR code that the device can scan and actually download this project remotely. So this is nice if someone is making updates to the project and you need to push these updates out to someone that's out in the field already, so they don't have to bring the device back, physically connect it to actually deploy the application. So they could simply scan a QR code or even just enter the server info for the desktop server and then click download to download that project. The next option is the Use Portable Device, MTP, which is a media transfer protocol. Once you select that, you can choose a USB connected device. You'll see I have a Zebra TC20 connected to my PC, so I can deploy it via this method. One thing to note with some newer devices, if I actually just slide this down here, you may notice that right now it says USB for file transfer, but you may notice that it says USB charging or charging USB to tap for more options. If it's in this state, you cannot deploy with the MTP, even though it'll show up, because it's not actually accessing the file system of Android. You would have to tap this, click the transfer files option in order to actually use this method. So that you'll see on newer devices, especially newer Zebra and Cypher Lab devices, that you would have to click this option every time you actually connect the device via USB. It doesn't seem to stick for some reason. Another option, which is less commonly used, is to use the Android Debug Bridge, or ADB. You can actually use this method if you have Android debugging enabled and you have ADB server installed. This is kind of a last resort if the other two methods aren't working. But we find that the deploy server always works unless you just don't have network connectivity to do that. Otherwise, you can use the MTP method. The map drive that's grayed out here, I don't think that's really used anymore. That was for older Android-based devices that only supported a connection via a map drive. So that's an older method that we still support, but I'm not sure we would actually see that much any longer. So I'll use the deploy server method and click deploy. So you'll see it's going to generate the QR code. And then on the device itself, I can come to the file menu. Oh, let me slide our menu out of the way here. If I click our file menu, you'll see we have a download project option. And then I can choose manual entry. So this is where I can actually type in this address here along with the port to grab our project, or we can go to scan QR code and use the scammer, or we can actually also use the device's built-in barcode scanner if it has one. So I'll scan that now. And it'll actually input those fields, and you'll see that the project was downloaded successfully. And then if I click on one of these sessions, it'll reload. We're back to the splash screen. And there's our equipment tracking session deployed to our Android device. I'll show you again if we go to click download project. Since we actually scan this QR code and have this project in here now, you'll see that we actually have all the information we need to update this project. So if I do happen to make any changes, I can make changes to here. I can click save. And then what you can do is actually press the F5 key on your keyboard. That'll actually rebuild the project. It'll say build complete. And then you can simply come back to your device and click download. Since all the information is in there already, it'll download the project. Click on a session to reload, and then you're off and running with the latest updates. So I'll talk a little bit about registration as well. So to actually register the software, we can go here to the file menu, go to about, and then the click to register. So if you do happen to purchase, you should receive an email with all your redemption links or redemption codes. So I have a sample order here that I can show you that we have some. These are actually already used already, but just to show you an example of what these codes would look like, you would simply key in one of these TracerPlus Pro 10 redemption codes into the redeem field. You would then press the key. As long as your device is connected to the internet, it would reach back to our servers, validate that order, and return a registration code for you to actually register the software. If you do need more info on registering, we should have a video specific for that. So those are the methods for deployment for Android. And if we were to deploy to iOS, I'll just show you the option. Currently, the only option is the deploy server. So that would be that same thing I just showed you. It would generate the QR code, or you can manually enter those desktop server information and then download the project. So now I want to jump back to our website just to show you a few resources here. Some actually related to deployment. So if you hover over support and knowledge base, actually we may even have a link to it on our page here. Yes. So if you look down here at the bottom of the Android install page that we opened from desktop, click this deploying projects to Android devices, and this details the different methods of deployment in order of what we would recommend. So the first is the QR code deployment. Next, the MTP, mass storage, and then you have your Android debug. If any of those happen to fail, there is a fifth option where you can actually build the project in desktop and then manually copy the files over. But we don't really run into that any longer. But this is a helpful article in the different deployment methods and something you should use if you are seeing issues with deployment. So we do offer another piece of software called TracerPlus Connect. So if I go to back to the software downloads page, so we have our free desktop software, but then we also have a software called TracerPlus Connect, which will actually enable you to seamlessly sync your data to and from the device, and you can sync with ODBC databases such as SQL Server, MySQL Oracle, Microsoft Access. You can also sync to Excel workbooks and even text files, whether it be a CSV file or a tab delimited text file. We also have an integration with Salesforce that supports direct syncing with Salesforce, as well as other custom APIs that can be added in the future. So one thing to note, you can import and export data without the use of TracerPlus Connect, but it's more of a manual process. So if we go back to one of the handhelds, I could essentially come to this menu, click either the export data or import data. So if I click export data, right now I'm not registered, so it'll only allow you to export 5 records. Once you register, that limitation is removed. So it's going to create a text file for each of the 3 sessions. So then to actually get the text files, you'd have to connect your device to the PC via USB. Then we'd have to come here to we go to the file browser, we go to the TracerPlus 10 folder, and then you would see data exported. We would have 3 text files in here. So you would actually browse to this location on the PC itself. So if I were to open up here, you would go to TC20 internal storage, TracerPlus 10 data, and then there would be an exported folder here. The file system just hasn't refreshed yet. But you would see export, and then you would see those 3 files. Then you'd have to copy them off of your device and then import them into whatever system you happen to be using. To actually load data to the device, you would copy it to the for import folder. You'll see some older files I have already imported. So you would copy these to the for import folder, and then you would go to your device and select let me go back to TracerPlus. Select the menu and then import data, and then it would grab any files that it found that would match the import format. So you'll see here in SO3F13 means that it's going to import a drop-down list to field 13 in session 3. If you're just importing actual record data, it would be in the format of S01_data. That would import data to session 1. Once again, it's a whole manual process. You may have to first export it out of your system, then connect the device to your PC, copy the file over, and then do this import process. So that's a little antiquated, so that's why we came up with this TracerPlus Connect software that allows the seamless sync of data to and from the device without that manual type interaction. For Windows devices, you can do syncs via USB, Wi-Fi, or WAN. For Android, you can do syncs via Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Windows, you can also do Ethernet. But for Android, it does not support syncing via USB. That's just because Android lacks that Windows Mobile Device Center or Active Sync connection that Windows has that enables that. So when you do use Android, keep in mind that with Connect, you do need to sync via Wi-Fi, WAN, or Ethernet. So once again, downloading it, very simple. Click on the link, enter my information, accept and download. And we'll go ahead and click on the executable. Once again, you get your thank you page here with the different resources you can access. So we'll go ahead and install the Connect software. And if you were to click on the self-help resources, this is where you'll have access to our support forum, our video library, as Kristen was speaking about earlier. It has a lot of videos on Connect, so that's very helpful in setting up specific type syncs. Our knowledge base for commonly asked questions and issues. We have our user guides, as well as information on registering your software. Let's go ahead and launch the Connect software. So this can be used in a trial state. So the only thing it'll prevent you from is syncing your full set of data. So like the export, it will limit you to syncing 5 records at a time. So I'll just give a basic overview of the Connect software. I'm not going to dive too deep, as we'll probably have a future webinar on Connect itself. So the idea is to create a profile first. So we offer 2 types of profiles, a sync profile and a live profile. Sync profile is a batch type sync, so whether that's USB or wireless, it will be a batch sync of data to and from the device versus a live profile that would actually be a real-time connection to the database, meaning no data is actually stored locally on the device. Anything saved will go directly to the database in real time. So one thing with a sync profile and a live profile, we also give you the option to link your desktop project. So this we always recommend, as it makes it a lot easier to map. So if I were just to choose my equipment inspection that we have here, it's called equipment tracking. So we'll just look for that. And we just click create profile. So that's going to create a profile for us, which we can then add sync processes to, where a sync process would consist of a source and a destination. So basically, where is the data coming from and where are we sending it to? So depending on whether you're syncing to or from the device, you would select either the database, Excel sheet, or TracerPlus. So in this case, let's say where we're syncing from the device, we would select source of TracerPlus. And this is where the benefit comes in for mapping that desktop project. We only see the sessions that we have in our project versus a generic list of 32 sessions. We can choose a destination, so we can choose text, Excel, SQL Server, or ODBC. If I do ODBC, we actually include a sample access database with the Connect software that you can test syncing with. So I can select TracerPlus Connect sample. And then you'll see we actually have some sample tables within this database. So I could choose, let's say, a 10-field sample. And then I can actually match up mappings here So we can say equipment ID goes to field 1, description to field 2, and so on. So that's the basics of marrying a source to a destination, and then it's just a matter of actually triggering the sync on the device itself. So now let's go to our knowledge base, and I want to show you a resource here. For those of you with Windows devices, I talked a little bit about the ActiveSync and Windows Mobile Device Center. So if you actually do need to get that software, you can get it from our knowledge base. I think if you just search for WMDC. So this will return some workarounds and issues you may find if you do have Windows mobile devices on Windows 10. So there are some known issues that Windows Update actually broke, and we have some solutions here that may help you out to get that working again. Actually, I think if you type in error 1904, actually, we may get to an article that has our downloads for ActiveSync and Windows Mobile Device Center. So if you're using Windows XP or something older like Windows Server 2000 or 2003, that uses Windows XP, which you can download here. If you're using anything newer than XP, such as Windows 7, 8, 10, or any of the newer server OSs, you would need the Windows Mobile Device Center. And depending on whether your PC is 32 or 64-bit, you would need to download the appropriate version. So once again, this software is not required for Android devices. This is specific to Windows Mobile and CE. And Kristen also talked a little bit about some of the resources, but if we do actually go to the video library, if you did need some help getting started, we do have some videos listed here, but I actually find it easier if you just go right to our channel. That way you can search and also choose from different playlists. So if we go to a playlist, we could see here's something specific to TracerPlus Connect. So we have 12 videos on getting started with Connect. Here's some videos on getting started that'll walk you through the desktop process and actually creating applications. We have some feature-specific videos. So these are quick 2 to 5 minute feature focused videos that talk about a specific feature. So those are useful to help you with specific things you may have questions on, specifically a do sync button that you would need to use to sync with Connect. That's one of our TracerPlus feature focused videos. Then we actually have the TracerPlus training videos, which are full in-depth 30 to 45 minute long videos that actually go into depth about specific features and how to configure them in different ways that may help you out. So this is a very useful tool to get started with TracerPlus. We definitely recommend going to this channel if you're looking to get started. And like we mentioned before, we have our support form. If you're just not finding answers in videos or knowledge base, you could go to the support forum and ask the community. We have a lot of TracerPlus users out there already using the software that may be able to offer you some helpful advice. But I think that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. I just want to thank you for hopping on and taking the time to listen to us and check out to see what we have to offer. I'll send it back over to Kristen.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. On the screen here, you see our phone number and email address. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Thanks. Have a great day.